So, how much money would you need to quit your job right now and never have to work another day in your life? If someone were to offer you this amount of money, you would know that you could live off of it indefinitely. How do you calculate that? How do you know that? If you were to retire tomorrow based off your investments, how much would you be able to live off of? What's up, guys? My name is Mateo Hall, and I've been thinking about retirement already, which is kind of weird coming from an 18-year-old. But I think that it's actually really important to think about your financial plan for when you do want to start working relatively early on in life. I personally want to retire around 35 years old, if not earlier. I use the word retire lightly because I want to be financially independent, I should say, by 35 years old. And not have to work another day in my life if I don't want to. But I don't see myself quitting anytime soon because I genuinely like working so far. But if I do retire at 35, how much money exactly do I need? Some people might say I need $10 million, I need $20 million, maybe I only need $5 million. Personally, I only need about $1 million in order to retire. That's because I can comfortably retire based off of $40,000 a year. I don't need that much money. So I hear you ask, where do you get these numbers from? You say $1 million gets you $40,000 a year indefinitely? Where does that even come from? Well, there's this general rule in finance called the 4% rule. It says that you can live off of 4% of your investment indefinitely. If you were to be withdrawing 4% of your investment every single year, you would never be touching the principal, even in the worst of recessions and the best bull markets. It's really amazing. If you take that $1 million and times that by 4%, multiply by 4%, that's 0.04, you're getting $40,000 a year, never even touching your principal. If you can live off of less, then that's even better. Then say you're only off $20,000 a year somehow, you just need $500,000 in order to retire, which sounds insane to me. So I made up a little mock budget for how much it would cost me to be living outside right now, out in the real world with all those big scary things like health insurance, car insurance, all that lot, and that came up to about $31,000, which is not too bad. But it also means that I need about $785,000 in the market invested in order to live off of that indefinitely. I get that by multiplying $785,000 by the 4% rule, getting $31,000 a year. So how do you do this? It's the exact same. Take however much money you are living off of right now, whether that be $20,000 a year, whether that be $100,000 a year, and divide that by 0.04. That's dividing by your 4%. That'll give you a much larger number, and that's how much money you need in the stock market in order to retire indefinitely and never have to worry about money ever again. I do hear you saying that's $1 million. That's a ton of money. How am I ever supposed to get to $1 million? Well, if you started at 20 years old with $0 to your name, and simply invested $10 every single day for 40 years, you want to retire at 60, you would have $1.2 million in the bank. That's just based off of a 9% yearly appreciation of the market and those interest rate that you're getting. It's how much your value is increasing. So just $10 a day for 40 years will get you almost $1.3 million. And that also comes out to a nice comfortable salary of $51,000 every single year for you without having to do a thing. And to think that's only for $10 a day, that seems more than worth it. But you could probably do more than $10 a day, right? That doesn't seem too crazy. If we go based off of my little ideal budget that I'm doing right now of $31,000 a year, let's say you make $40,000 a year and you're working off that $31,000 budget, right? Living below your means, you could probably be investing more, but you're not. It's comfortable. It's a comfortable life. That means that you can be investing $9,000 a year, and if you do that for 40 years, you have over $3.1 million, which is insane. That gives you a nice comfortable annual salary of around $126,000. Now, I think I can live off $126,000, don't you? And that's really the power of compound interest, is letting this sit for 40 years. You could do it for 30 years, you could do it for 20 years, but just know that every 6 years or so that you leave your money in the market, it's gonna roughly double. It is insane the type of returns that you could get just by letting your money sit around for a couple of years. But the thing is, I don't want to retire in 40 years. I don't even want to retire by the age of 40. I want to retire by the time I'm 35, so that's going to be a little bit harder for me to do. In order to retire, oh, these numbers hurt. In order to retire by the age of 35, I would have to invest $1,800 a month, and that is $21,000 a year. That's not counting the amount of money that I'm living off of, so we have to add another $31,000 to that. So that means I have to make around $52,000 every year at 19 in order to retire at 35. This is where things start to get a little bit more difficult. Now, $52,000 sounds like a lot of money to me as someone who's almost 19 years old. But as a real estate agent, it doesn't sound like too much. It seems more doable, even though it's gonna be my first year. I probably won't be meeting that. I think my tax return this year is gonna read somewhere around $22,000 just because I wasn't working the entire year. But who knows, knock on wood, maybe I'll end up selling a house and it'll just shoot up an extra $6,000. That would be awesome. We'll love to see that. So, how do I plan on retiring by the time I'm 35? Well, what I told you guys about the 4% rule is the most basic way. If you want to go in it long term, if you want to retire by the time you're 50, 60, 70, whatever, the 4% rule is beautiful. If you want to go through the FIRE movement, 4% rule is awesome. But there's another way. I can either make a lot of money to hit that number of investing $1,800 a month, $21,000 a year, or I could be smarter with my money. Let's talk about that. So my problem now is, where am I going to find a better return than 9% on average every single year in the S&P 500? Real estate. I honestly 100% think that real estate is the fastest and best way to build your wealth. House hacking is my goal right now. House hacking is when you buy either a duplex, triplex, or maybe even a multiple bedroom house. You rent out the other bedrooms or the other units to someone else, and you are holding equity in the house, paying down your mortgage with their rental payments. That means you're living in this house pretty much for free and gaining equity in this house every single day. Not only that, but by house hacking, you completely eliminate the housing cost. Now here in Reno, Nevada, I'm looking at an apartment somewhere around probably $900 a month. That'll take about $10,000 away from my yearly budget that I'm putting towards spending. Not only that, but it also means, since I'm taking $900 a month away from my budget, that means that I need less money invested in the stock market in order to get these kinds of returns. Instead of having to invest $1,800 every single month in order to get to that $785,000 mark, now I'm looking at around $516,000. So I'm shaving off over $200,000 just by gaining equity in a property and house hacking. Oh, not to mention, also house hacking can be making you money. So this will increase my income by house hacking if I can cash flow positive on these properties. Now this just keeps getting better and better. So let's continue on house hacking for just another second. When you're house hacking, not only is your rental payment removed, you're also getting equity in the property that you have. So the mortgage payment that you're now making is turning into an investment. That $900 a month that I was spending before is no longer just being thrown away out the window. It's now included in equity in a property that I buy. And that property is probably going to be increasing at an interest rate of about 4% every single year just by sheer appreciation of the land, which is amazing, not to mention any other increases in the value that you do on the property, putting new paint, carpets, yada, yada, yada. That's fun stuff. We'll get into that in another video. So what happens if we buy another property? You're house hacking this first property and you buy another duplex, triplex, fourplex, and you rent that out. Now you're going to be cash flowing positive on that. In 30 years, you're not going to have a payment on it at all, and you're going to be getting all of the money from rent, What does that really translate to in layman's terms? It means that you need to invest even less money in the stock market in order to withdraw your measly 4% every single year. Now, the 4% rule is an amazing asset for people that are getting started into finances. It gives you a good idea in worst case scenario. If you want to take it the easy way, the lazy way, then there's nothing wrong with that. Just withdraw 4% from your portfolio every single year and you can live off of that. And to get you started, I have 2 links down in the description. Open an account with Robinhood and you can get an entirely free stock. Open an account with Webull and deposit $100 and you can get 3 free stocks, 2 of which are valued anywhere between $800 and $1,600. And that'll give you a very nice head start on everyone. But if you want to put a little bit more effort into it, if you want to get started on real estate, if you want to build your net worth in the most efficient and the fastest way possible, then subscribe to this channel and I'll teach you exactly how to do it because it's going to be what I'm doing it. I'm buying my first rental property in the next 3 years. I'm really excited for this little journey we're on. Remember to check the links down below. There's also an affiliate link to Discover Card. If you create a card with them, you'll get a free credit of $50 just for signing up. I'll see you guys next time until we continue our financial journeys and I buy a house.